Relationship trauma. When people have had relationship trauma, often what they do is they seek therapy. And I believe in therapy. And usually it's talk therapy and want to talk through the trauma. And so they try to put into words experiences and emotions. Sometimes they get insights that can help them understand what happened, logically think about what has happened. But often there's still that emotional element that persists, those feelings of trauma. And I want to show you that talk therapy for trauma is like putting a square peg into a round hole. It might fit into that hole, but there's still those gaps around the outside of the square that still persist. Or it's like a vehicle that can't quite get you to your destination of healing. And the reason why talking about trauma doesn't work is, first of all, when we have a traumatic experience, our logic, that rational part of our brain, goes offline. It's gone. And we're left in that experience, the emotions, the memories, all that nonverbal stuff that's tied to the limbic system when you are in survival mode. And so this is the subconscious, all those things, and then it goes unconscious. And then we try to access that with our left brain, the logic, trying to understand it, trying to figure it out. And in this process, when you access memories that have an emotional wrapper, you're actually unwrapping that emotion every time you think about or recall those memories. And it's called revivification because it actually makes you relive the feelings that you had when that experience or that event happened. Because these memories are wrapped up in emotion. That's how they get stored. They get wrapped up in all that emotion and they get stored. And so to recall them, you have to get through all that emotional wrapper. And so talking about it often revivifies it. And sometimes it makes it worse to keep revivifying these things to make them stronger. Because what happens is in your brain, you start to create a neural pathway of this trauma. How you think about it, how it feels when you keep accessing those memories by trying to talk about it, by trying to understand it. And understanding is like trying to read a manual. And understanding is like riding a bike. It's like reading manuals, watching videos, talking to other people about riding a bike. But when you're faced with the option of riding a bike to your destination or getting stuck where you are or staying stuck where you are, there's really no choice because you really don't know how to ride a bike. You only understand it. You only know what the parts of the bike are. You've only seen other people ride bikes. You only know that it's possible, but it's not possible for you because you don't have those skills to actually get on the bike and ride it from just understanding, from just more information, by just talking about it more, or just hearing about it more, listening to different lectures about it. And what needs to happen is for you to have an actual experience with this bike. Resolving trauma needs to happen at the level of the unconscious, at the level of memories and emotions and feelings and experiences that you can't quite put into words, that you can't quite logic your way out of them. I like to say that logic can't fix emotions. Understanding can't fix emotions. because all the understanding and the insights that we get from talk therapy, often the emotional element that's really the problem is still there. And I experienced this when I found out that my ex was cheating. My subconscious showed me this box way high up in a hallway. It told me to bring that box down. I saw a receipt for some lingerie that he had just given me. I was actually looking for a receipt. Something told me to take a picture of it and put it back into the box and put the box back on the shelf. And as I was looking at that receipt later, I noticed that that frilly pink thing that he had given me, he had also bought it in an extra small and an extra large. And I logic goes to, oh, maybe he was just having problems with his checkout online because it wants to rationalize this away. But I knew deep down that he had purchased those items for other women. And right at that moment, it was like a movie montage where every single time that I thought there was something weird or fishy about his behavior flashed back, and then it all made sense, coming to this conclusion, coming to this evidence, like with receipt, actual literal receipt, that he was buying lingerie for other women. I was in distress. Okay, here's all of the emotion, because up until that point, I had trusted him. And I had a dream that night that I called Victoria's Secret. And when I woke up, I actually called Victoria's Secret. And there were 3 different receipts, 3 different orders with 14 different items. And that was my confirmation. And knowing all of this information, I started to ask him questions. Like I held my card. I held my cards close to my chest and I was asking him questions that I already knew the answer to. Anyway, when I asked to see all these items, he only had 4 of them. So 4 out of 14. I had one of those things. There were like 9 things floating around there. There were 9 things floating out there with, I don't know however many women, at least 2, an extra small and a large. And because he kept lying about it, I was done. I threw in my cards and I walked away. And I immediately went to get therapy. And I went sometimes 3 times a week. I was in a lot of shame. I felt like he had cheated on me. Like I was the one that I was the one that was left with all this shame. But really, I realized through therapy that he wasn't cheating on me. He was just a cheater, cheating over there. Looking back, I realized that he was telling me about stories of cheating on his wife before I even arrived on the scene. It made me understand that it didn't have anything to do with me, that I wasn't to blame, that I wasn't the one that needed to feel ashamed of of his cheating. And then when I was able to resolve that logically, I was able to talk about being with a cheater, and it was resolved, that part of it, logically. So I could talk with anyone about that. And it's interesting when you start talking about that and sharing how common this experience is, and they would share with me a lot of trauma out there. But there was still that emotional element that had not been resolved, even though logically I understood it. There was this lingering, persistent emotion that that experience had left me. I was still confused emotionally, being somewhat attached to this person, knowing that the person I was attached to wasn't the person that I thought they were. a lot of confusion there emotionally. What resolved that for me was hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy deals with those things at the level that they actually exist, where they're stored in the subconscious, in your memories, in your body, in the experience that stays with you. And so this is why, if you have trauma and you've been trying to talk through it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying not to do talk therapy because it's super helpful. But if you're finding that talk therapy can't quite get you to your destination, can't quite get you to leaving this all in the past, if that trauma is still there right now with you and it's taken up your future, not allowing you to create a future that you really want, that you really desire, hypnotherapy is what therapy is an actual hypnotherapy is what can actually help you resolve those emotions, to complete this, to put it in the past, to resolve that emotional element. So that trauma isn't always there with you, taking up space in your future, so that you can't really live into a compelling future that you actually desire. Because hypnotherapy gives you an experience. So you have to fight experience with experience, not with logic and understanding and information. You have to have an experience that completes that. You have to have an experience, another powerful experience that integrates that and resolves that emotionally. It's like that experience of actually getting on a bike and learning how to balance, not just reading about it, but learning how to balance, steer, brake, pedal. And that experience is what actually allows you to have choice. Because before that experience, you only had that one choice to stay stuck. But now you have a choice to actually get on that bike and ride to the destination, wherever it is that you want to go. Therapy gives you that experience so that you have an actual choice, that you don't have to stay stuck because you don't know how to ride a bike. You actually now have the choice to get on that bike because you know how to, and you don't have to stay stuck. So if you've experienced trauma, maybe you've done months or even years of therapy, maybe that too isn't what will actually take you to where you need to go. With a few hours of accelerated hypnotherapy, you can have a whole different experience that will give you what you need to leave that trauma in the past, to totally resolve it, so that you can start having other experiences along the journey, destination that you truly desire.